Picture approaching a city, not met by walls, but by a forest of stakes, each one impaling a body stretching for miles. In 1462, the Ottoman army advancing on Targovist found this nightmare: tens of thousands of corpses, a message from Vlad III, Prince of Wallachia. This was psychological warfare at its most extreme, Vlad's way of breaking the enemy before battle even began. Even Sultan Mehmed II, conqueror of Constantinople, was so horrified he turned his army back. Vlad's reputation as the Impaler was sealed in that moment. The forest of the impaled wasn't random violence, it was a calculated warning. The stakes were arranged in patterns, the tallest for the highest-ranking captives, a grotesque display of power. Wallachia, a small principality between empires, was declaring it would not be conquered easily. Vlad's message challenged Wallachia, and you'll face a fate worse than death. This act was both a deterrent and a symbol of his reign. Vlad wasn't a madman, he was a ruler who wielded terror as his sharpest weapon. In a world of shifting alliances and constant war, he believed only extreme measures could protect his people. The Forest of the Impaled was the ultimate expression of that belief. It was a warning that echoed through Europe, ensuring Vlad's name would never be forgotten. His enemies didn't just fear defeat, they feared the legend he created. This is the legacy of Vlad the Impaler: terror as strategy, and horror as history. To understand Vlad the Impaler, we must look at his origins. Born around 1431 in Transylvania, Vlad was the son of Vlad II Dracula, a member of the Order of the Dragon, a group sworn to defend Christianity against the Ottomans. Dracula meant the dragon, making Vlad Draculaâ, the son of the dragon. Wallachia, his future kingdom, was a battleground between Hungary and the Ottoman Empire. Power here was fleeting, betrayal was common, and the throne was always contested. Vlad's childhood was shaped by political intrigue and constant danger. His father's rule depended on uneasy alliances and paying tribute to the Ottomans. Vlad and his brother Radu were more than princes. They were pawns in a deadly game. Growing up, Vlad saw how diplomacy often led to betrayal, especially from the boyars, the local nobility. He learned that to survive, a ruler needed more than a title. He needed absolute authority and the power to inspire fear. The seeds of the Impaler were sown in these harsh realities. For Vlad, survival was the only true victory. His brutal reign was forged in the fires of a land where only the ruthless could rule. Vlad's most formative years began in 1442, when he and his brother Radu were sent as hostages to the Ottoman court. There, Vlad learned the language, culture, and crucially, the methods of Ottoman rule. Life as a hostage was a constant test, privilege balanced by the threat of death if his father faltered. Vlad witnessed the Ottomans' mastery of control-reward, punishment, and public terror. He likely saw impalement used as a tool of fear and order. Radu adapted, befriending the future sultan and embracing Ottoman life. Vlad, however, grew resentful, determined to resist and outwit his captors. When his father and older brother were murdered by rival boyars, Vlad's path was set. The Ottomans tried to use him as a puppet, but captivity had forged him into a weapon. He left the Ottoman court with a deep understanding of his enemies, and a resolve never to be a pawn again. Vlad's years as a hostage didn't break him, they made him the ruler he would become. He returned to Wallachia, ready to claim his throne with a new, ruthless vision. Vlad's rise to power was marked by violence and betrayal. His first reign in 1448 lasted only months before he was ousted. After years in exile, he returned in 1456, backed by Hungary, and seized the throne. His main goal: destroy the power of the boyars, the nobles who had betrayed his family. Vlad's solution was swift and brutal. At an Easter feast, he arrested the boyars, impaled the elders, and forced the rest into hard labor rebuilding his fortress. This act wiped out the old nobility in one stroke. He replaced them with loyal men of lower birth, creating a new power structure. This was not just revenge, it was a calculated purge to secure his rule. With internal threats crushed, Vlad could focus on defending Wallachia from external enemies. He ruled through fear, establishing an order where loyalty was absolute and dissent meant death. Vlad's Wallachia was a kingdom forged in blood, where terror kept the peace. With the boyars subdued, Vlad turned his iron rule on the people. He believed only terror could create a crime-free society. The punishment for theft, lying, or laziness was often the same: impalement. This climate of fear reportedly led to unprecedented public safety. Legend tells of a golden cup left unguarded in the town square, never stolen because the penalty was too horrific. Vlad's justice extended to the poor and homeless, whom he saw as burdens. In one infamous act, he invited beggars to a feast, then burned them alive, claiming to cleanse the land. His philosophy was simple: a strong nation required absolute honesty and productivity. Any who threatened that order, criminals, traitors, or even the destitute, were eliminated without mercy. Vlad's justice was not about rehabilitation, but purification through terror. For him, safety and prosperity were built on fear. His reign was a chilling experiment in total control. In Wallachia, stepping out of line meant facing the ultimate horror. Vlad's true legacy was forged in his war against the Ottomans. In 1462 he launched a devastating campaign south of the Danube, slaughtering tens of thousands and boasting of it in letters to the King of Hungary. He positioned himself as the defender of Christendom, using terror as his weapon. The Ottomans responded with overwhelming force, but Vlad fought back with guerrilla tactics, hit-and-run attacks, poisoned wells, and scorched earth. His most infamous act, the Forest of the Impaled, where 20,000 Ottoman prisoners were displayed on stakes outside Targovist. When Sultan Mehmed arrived, the sight broke his army's morale. The Sultan retreated, unwilling to pay the price of conquering such a land. Vlad's psychological warfare had worked. He turned terror into a weapon that could defeat even the mightiest empire. His message was clear: Wallachia would not be conquered without unimaginable cost. Vlad's victory was written in bodies, a warning to all who would threaten his rule. Over time, Vlad's story became tangled with myth and propaganda. Many of the most gruesome tales, dining among the dead, drinking blood, come from German pamphlets meant to demonize him. These stories were exaggerated, designed to shock and vilify. There's no reliable evidence Vlad drank blood or committed many of the sadistic acts attributed to him. What is certain, he used impalement on a massive scale, purged the boyars, and waged brutal war against the Ottomans. His reign was defined by fear and ruthless order. The real Vlad was a strategic ruler, not a madman. His cruelty was calculated, aimed at consolidating power and defending his land. The difference between legend and history is motivation. Vlad's terror had purpose. He was a product of a violent age, responding with violence that shocked even his contemporaries. The truth is chilling enough, no supernatural embellishment required. How did Vlad the Impaler become the world's most famous vampire? The answer lies with Bram Stoker, who, in the 19th century, found inspiration in Vlad's name and reputation for his novel Dracula. Stoker borrowed little from Vlad's real life beyond the name and setting. The historical Vlad was no vampire. He didn't drink blood or fear sunlight. Stoker fused the real prince's legend with vampire folklore, creating an icon of horror. Dracula's supernatural terror was rooted in Vlad's very real brutality. In Romania, however, Vlad is remembered as a national hero, a fierce defender against the Ottomans. The vampire myth is a Western invention. For Romanians, Vlad remains the son of the dragon. His legacy is complex, both a monster in legend and a hero in history. The line between fact and fiction is as thin as a steak. Vlad the Impaler's story is a reminder that history is often stranger than legend. He was a defender and a tyrant, a Christian prince shaped by violence and betrayal. His legacy endures in castles, books, and films, because his life raises timeless questions about power and morality. Vlad mastered psychological warfare long before the term existed. His story is more than a horror tale. It's a window into a brutal era of European history. Exploring Vlad's life means confronting the dark realities of leadership and survival. The past is filled with figures as complex as Vlad, heroes to some, monsters to others. If you want more stories that separate fact from fiction, subscribe and join us on this journey, because sometimes the truth is the greatest adventure of all.